In 2012, during the civil war in Syria, a faction of the rebel Free Syrian Army, the Al-Tawhid Brigade, which was fighting to topple the dictatorship of the al-Assad family, captured a government storage depot in the city of Aleppo. Inside a modern steel shipping container, the rebels made one of the most astonishing gun finds in recent history. Stacked haphazardly inside the interior of the container were what turned out to be 5,000 Stg44s, all World War II manufactured German assault rifles that once equipped the last-ditch Volksgrenadier formations in the last years of World War II on the Western Front. That such a quantity was captured, and apparently all in very good condition, was what made the story so interesting. 2 years ago, I made a video about the post-World War II service of the Stg44. See the link in the end screen. I looked at how the Stg44 was captured in significant numbers, particularly by the Soviet Union. These weapons were reissued to arm two post-war communist formations, both in East Germany, the Barracked People's Police and the Volkspolizei, or People's Police. The Stg44 also saw extensive post-war use by Czechoslovakian armed forces. Then, into the 1960s, Stg44s were shipped off to Africa, specifically to aid rebels in Algeria fighting the French for independence, and to North Vietnam to fight South Vietnam and United States forces. Later, Stg44s ended up in Somalia during the Ogaden War against Ethiopia in the 1970s, and in the 2000s in Syria, the subject of today's video, and lastly have appeared in the conflict in Ukraine, undoubtedly stored World War II captured weapons from Soviet times. A few weeks ago I was able, courtesy of the Combined Military Services Museum in Malden, Essex, to get my hands on an original World War II Stg44 and examine it in detail. And incredibly, just a few days after this, I was filming at the Royal Air Force Regiment Museum in Suffolk and was able to handle a second World War II Stg44. It's a bit like buses. You wait all day and then two come along at once. I highly recommend visiting both museums, and I've linked their websites in the description box. Though produced during the last years of World War II, when the quality and finish of German weapons naturally suffered, it is acknowledged to be an accurate rifle, even at long range, and of course very useful for bursts of automatic fire at shorter ranges, and was a revolutionary weapon, and is considered the grandfather of the modern assault rifle. Its curved 30-round magazine was a vast improvement over the 5-round bolt-action Mauser rifles carried by most German infantrymen throughout World War II, and the Stg44's 7.92 by 33mm Kurz cartridge was accurate beyond 300 meters, and had twice the muzzle velocity of German World War II submachine guns like the MP40, which was carried by officers and some NCOs. The Germans planned to manufacture 4 million Stg44s before war's end, but only managed 426,000, so these weapons are fairly rare today. Turning up 5,000 examples in a shipping container was, to say the least, exceptional. So what is the history of Stg44s in Syria? Why were so many there? Long before the recent civil war, East Germany sold Syria a batch of 4,500 World War II captured Stg44s in 1964, along with plenty of ammunition. These rifles were supplemented by East Germany shipping off to both Syria and to Palestinian militant groups more Stg44s, plus Soviet equipment like T-34 tanks and World War II-era PPSH-41 submachine guns. It was a useful way for the East Germans to clear out their stocks of surplus World War II weapons. Czechoslovakia was likewise selling off quantities of World War II German weapons and equipment to Middle Eastern countries, and the Czechs sold Syria some German Panzer IV tanks and Jagdpanzer IV tank destroyers, which in the 1960s saw action against Israel. Czechoslovakia also made a deal with Syria to ship over 10,000 so-called self-loading rifles, and among these weapons were quantities of Stg44s plus 500,000 rounds of ammunition. After some time, the Syrian armed forces were increasingly equipped with Soviet-type weapons, using, of course, a different caliber round from the German Stg44s, and so the Syrian government decided to place the 44s into long-term storage. Then, when the Syrian civil war erupted in the 2000s, increasing numbers of Stg44s fell into rebel hands as the rebels captured government storehouses. However, the problem for the rebels was obtaining sufficient ammunition for these World War II weapons, and it has been estimated that by 2017, the Stg44 began to disappear from frontline service with these rebels as ammunition stocks became exhausted. One factor that must be addressed is the value of such rare weapons. In the United States, such rifles regularly sell for upwards of $40,000 or more. Did the Syrian rebels know what they had found in 2012? 5,000 almost mint-condition Stg44s, if sold, would have raised enough money to purchase 10 times that number of modern rifles and machine guns. The Al-Tawhid Brigade that found the cache of 5,000 Stg44s left the coalition with the Free Syrian Army and joined Al-Qaeda. The group no longer exists, but the Stg44s that they had are now spread about, including into Afghanistan and elsewhere. Most likely the Stg44s have ended up back in storage again, or in private homes, or even dumped or scrapped. Many, I'm sure, are rusting away in various places in the Middle East today. Some, of course, will eventually find their way onto the open market, as Syria remains probably the last place where you can find substantial numbers of Stg44s, and they remain, of course, highly attractive to collectors the world over. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share. Also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.